question. We're reading, because I think there are two versions, because I've been saving the email attachments in a folder, and there are two versions labeled 1022.
Let me re-email you right now, and I'll email you the draft that I'm using.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's the later one that was saved on my laptop on November 7th.
Probably, I'll send you this just to make sure. I mean, to be honest, the differences between the two drafts are really minuscule, but I just emailed you the Word document of the one that.
I think you sent one out on the 9th, didn't you?
Yeah, November 9th is, I think, the most updated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
Could you just send me that just in case for me as well? I'm not sure.
I've only ever sent you one draft.
Great, perfect.
Yeah, the one I sent you, Jeremy, is the right one.
Solid.
So wait, you sent me one?
Yeah, Omar, I just emailed you.
We were recording.
Thank
Speed.
you. Or better yet, I can just put it in the chat to everybody.
To solve everybody's paranoia now over this.
While we're waiting,
Yes.
has anyone watched Rami on Hulu? I just finished the
No,
second.
I've heard it's really good though.
I just finished the second season, and it is. I think it's pretty spectacular. It's a show that's making me like, I don't know a lot about Muslim culture or Islam, and so it's literally after every episode I just hop on Google and I like research a bunch of things that I learned in the episode, and so I just think it's like it's very cool what it's doing for mainstream culture and presenting a Muslim character. And
Is it on Netflix?
it's on Hulu.
Hulu, and it's called Rami, R-A-M-I?
R-A-M-Y. He's this guy. He didn't go to NYU, but he was a year below me, and he hung out with our NYU crew a lot. So he was integrated with our NYU community. But he created this show. This is the second season that's out on Hulu now. He won the Emmy for his first season.
Awesome.
But he got me my first job in Los Angeles as a dog walker. Like he literally is an amazing human being, but he also has created this amazing show about a Muslim guy figuring out his faith. And it's just, I just think it's a really well done show. His character is very frustrating. Like, he's a very flawed character, but it's a really cool show.
Awesome. I'll check it out.
It's a great show.
Yeah. No, it literally after every episode, I just go, oh my God, I never knew this about Islam or the religion, or just like cool facts about the Middle East. I don't know. It's just like, I end up on Google after every episode. So it's really cool.
Does everybody have the draft that I just sent?
For some reason, I never received the email, but I just downloaded the attachment that was on the November 9th email, and I think.
And I put it in the chat room for everybody too. So.
SHADOWLANDS.
Are we good to go?
I believe so.
Malcolm, do you feel like starting us off with stage directions for the first scene?
Sure. Hold on just a second.
Thank you.
And if I turn off my camera, I'm here. It's just my internet is being funny.
Same.
We all good?
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Act 1, Theresienstadt. Cassandra stands isolated in a pool of light.
I'm homesick for a garden never seen. The gates are barred, though its perfume haunts the air. How tragic, home's a place I've never been. and in these shadowlands I must forbear. Their metaphor is all reality. Love will smell of roses, trees will sing like string quartets, souls in harmony will choralize throughout each living thing. But even such a heaven can't conform to details that our selfish mind would breed. If this were only that or those we mourn, we'd burn it all if 'twould assure our dreams. You may leave the shadowlands if you'd be free, home in a garden, just roses, God, and thee.
Lights fade up to reveal Matt sitting on a park bench looking at Cassandra. Matt is a handsome man in his 30s. His spirit is both much older and much younger than his physical age. In essence, he has the soul of anyone but a 30-something-year-old man. Cassandra is in her late 20s. She is slightly bohemian in the true starving artist way, not a romantic one. She is both strong and ethereal. Joan of Arc, if she had gone to Oz instead of to war with the English. She has the brain of someone who has had to, at least in public, significantly dull their intelligence in order to function in the real world. She does not always succeed. She is either a prophetic genius or slightly mad. Matt and Cassandra share a tangible kinship. If one didn't know better, they'd say they were twins. They are two sides of the same coin. Perhaps their bond can best be described as being like if they were the only two people who once really and truly got into Narnia and are now barred from ever returning again. Matt has not heard her poem, A Long Beat. This is the first time these events are being experienced.
Where were you? You went away.
I'm sorry.
What were you doing?
Thinking?
About what?
Nothing. I wish I could take your hurt away.
You can't.
I know.
He's dead. 49 people dead because they were in a club, because they were gay, because someone believed with every fiber of their being that we all deserved to rot in hell.
He's a fucking idiot.
So he thought all those people should be dead, and now they are. In the name of the Islamic State, he won, and no one's doing anything about it. He could just get a gun, and I used to go to Pulse all the time. I used to feel safer there than
Matt breaks down, hysterically sobbing. Cassandra wraps him in her arms.
You know the sound string instruments make? I think once upon a time that's what trees sounded like. Before magic started to seep out of the world, when the plants and animals and wind and stars would sing to each other. Maybe the ones with the biggest trunks were the double basses, the saplings violins. And then they stopped. I don't know why. I wish I did. So we invented musical instruments. Take a dead tree, hollow it out, add strings, and we can recapture a little what it sounded like when the trees would talk to us. Can you imagine it? The whole earth speaking to you in music.
You're not making any sense.
I think maybe our souls could sing to each other too. You know how when you're in a chorus, all the voices start to vibrate in you until you can't differentiate yours from the others? I think that's what emotions were meant to be like. Like they could harmonize with each other. You wouldn't have to explain to anyone what you were feeling. They would just know. It would reverberate off of you into them and off of them into you until you couldn't tell which feelings were yours and which were theirs.
She starts to cry too. Matt calms a bit, as if some of his pain were being taken on by Cassandra.
And if you were sad, you wouldn't need any words to explain it. It would never be invisible. It would vibrate in everyone like a choir of empathy. If that's what feelings were like, I don't think anyone could ever hurt anybody. Maybe that's why the world stopped singing. We had to cut out our own hearts so we could get what we thought we wanted.
Tell me how I feel.
Cassandra places her hands on him like she's trying to absorb his emotions through her skin.
You feel like the color of bile, pale yellow, almost clear, sickly. Like you've had an operation and your body is seizing up, trying to find the limits just lost. Alone, that's the word. You feel alone.
When I walked out of my house this morning, there were pieces of paper on the windshields of every car. Burn in hell, fags. You'll all be dead soon. I feel like I have to be prepared to die every time I walk out of my house. Am I evil? Is being gay evil and I've just been trying to justify it to myself?
No.
How can you be sure?
You're not evil. How can love be evil?
It's like the world is rotting and I can't stop it. Dad won't even talk about it.
I'm scared.
No, he's hateful. He's full of hate.
Yes. Have you talked to Peter's family?
No, I don't know what to say. He was coming back today. We were, oh God, we were supposed to go out to dinner. I never canceled the reservation.
You could go. We could toast to him. Or I could call and cancel, whatever you want. We can do anything. Isn't that wonderful? We're at the part of the story where we can still do anything, be anyone. We're both here together and we can still choose.
I wish.
Matt lives in his wish for a moment. He rolls it around in his mind like a child rolling a new kind of food with a new taste over his tongue. He catalogs how it feels, deciding whether he likes it or not. It is repulsive, but delectable, like cayenne pepper with dark chocolate or fresh wasabi. And now that the seed of the wish is there, there's no real going back, like someone who has had sex for the first time and discovers that they'll never be able to return to any semblance of a life of celibacy.
Nothing.
And suddenly a heavy, heavy weight descends on the scene, like an oppressive cloud. It won't leave Matt for the rest of the show.
Something just changed. I feel like after you leave today, I'll never see you again.
Of course you will.
No. I know, Matt. I see what. Don't go where I can't follow. Right here with me, you can still choose.
How long has it been?
We're Gerda and Kai. And the mirror.
If your dad's gonna send you back.
Fine, you know I'm fine. Listen to me.
Take your pills.
You think I'm crazy too?
No, you're magical, but sometimes we need you here on Earth with us, please.
The mirror's fallen in your eye already, hasn't it? And I don't know how to get it out. We're Gerda and Kai. No, little brother and little sister, don't let us be.
He takes a pill bottle out of her bag.
If you go, everyone's going to end up dead.
He takes one pill out and hands it to her.
Stop.
I love you, Matt.
I love you too.
But he still holds out the pill, unmoving. She slowly, begrudgingly takes it from him. Her thought, I can't stop what's going to happen.
You can't shut up the things you don't like forever.
Don't say that. That's not.
Oh, tell me how I feel.
I can't.
Now you feel all red and yellow and splotchy.
Cass.
It's the moment. In a week, a month, 5 years from now, you'll look back and wonder when it was. It's now. Tell me how I feel.
Stop. I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to feel anymore. I don't want to feel anything.
A long beat, and the moment passed. Cassandra's heart sinks. Matt is unaware.
Please.
Cassandra reluctantly swallows the pill.
Matt, it wasn't Peter's fault. And it wasn't yours.
I know.
No, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault.
Matt stands and walks away, keeping his back to her. Then, pulling himself together, he turns around, trying to hide his tears.
I know. We will make good win, Cass. We have to.
How?
Matt thinks about his wish.
Don't go.
I have to go to work. It's 1 o'clock.
Me, all future me's, every me that will ever want to say this to you. I'm looking in your eyes. You're real. You're really here. It's really now. And I am saying to you with every me that ever has and ever will exist, don't go. Don't go to work. Stay here. Stay with me.
I'm sorry, Cass. I have to. I'll see you soon. You're the only one who cares, who's even talked to me about you're the best in all the land. My best.
He gives her a kiss, then turns and exits.
Matt, listen, please, please, please. Ishmael and Safa are on the edge of a decimated farm. Smoke rises around them. What was a lush green paradise an hour ago now looks like a wasteland. Safa sits on the ground, unable to move, staring out in shock. Ishmael stands holding a transistor radio that issues static with an occasional word or two coming through. America, mistaking, Islamic State.
490 people dead because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because America believes with every fiber of their being that all the Muslims deserve to rot in Jahannam. Intel that this was the location of ISIL. Form, Gordon's, the location of, but oops, their mistake. We're expendable.
What's green hangs on the wall and whistles.
What?
What's green hangs on the wall and whistles.
You're not making any sense.
Grandfather, it was a riddle. He said he'd tell me the answer when I... What's the answer?
I don't know.
Ishmael!
I don't remember. No, I don't want to be a part of this story. I refuse. Am I evil? Is being Muslim evil and we've just been...
No. How could love be evil?
Around the world, a tragedy happens and everyone joins to mourn. Not here. Here, there's silence. Our pain does not exist. We are lost in history.
Allah knows. Allah mourns. Where are they? Mother? Grandfather?
Heaven, if Allah wills it.
But where is Jannah? They must be somewhere. Where are they?
I don't know. In the clouds.
Like Jiddah's winged horse?
Yes.
Did the horse come and take them?
I don't know.
Will it come and take me? I want the horse to come and take me too.
That brings him back to reality. He throws the radio down and takes Safa's face in his hands.
Don't wish that, Safa. Don't ever wish that.
What do we do now? Raqqa?
There's nothing left there.
The university. Maybe they could... A tech company for you to work. They must have rebuilt.
No, and even if they had, this was the safest place left in Syria. Why is it that all the great religious teachers, the prophets of every creed, all call for love and peace, and yet their followers always find a way to twist a call to good into a demand for hate?
There will always be a war between the law and the spirit. Being justified by a law we can fulfill makes us gods. To be justified by the spirit means that we are in need. Brother, heaven has in store what has been lost.
When did you get so wise? Stop growing up so fast. Everything happens too fast.
He tries to adjust the dial on the radio.
I want to stay here.
We can't. If I can get to a computer, maybe...
Your coding could...
Fake documents, hack the system,
Where?
follow the rats from a sinking ship. We will be invisible, where it's good to be invisible.
Maybe it's only the Americans who come here who are bad. The rest do not want to fight.
Anything else with a zero sum would be a zero sum.
I know what I want to be when I grow up. New. Not a journalist or a translator like father and mother. I wanted to run the farm. You all can have the city. I wanted to stay forever in the orchards and gardens.
Who would destroy a Gordon?
It will stay dead without us. Can't we stay and protect it? Please, Ishmael.
No, no, it's dead and it's never coming back. I will not let us die too.
What's green, hangs on the wall and whistles?
No more with that.
I need to know.
We can't know everything. I will make us safe no matter what. We speak English now, nothing to make us seem a threat.
Does good win? In our story, does good win?
If we make it.
Static bursts back to life, drowning out the scene. Scene 3, the following article is projected on the back wall. Marisol faces the audience and talks to them directly. She speaks in Spanish with English super titles projected. She is being interviewed by a news station, but we shouldn't know that yet.
My name is Marisol Lopez. I'm one of the mass of faceless citizens. You won't remember me. My brother was Felipe Lopez. He died in the Pulse massacre. The media say a lot of things. It was done by a crazy person. It's sad. Thoughts and prayers. But it was a gay club. And it was Latin night. Did you remember that? It was Latin night. Why doesn't that get to be a part of the story? Why are we faceless citizens? Felipe Lopez, he was my brother. I loved him. Would you remember his name? Please? I know there are too many things to remember, but please, in all the noise, remember it was Latin night. Remember my brother's name was Felipe. Where are all the good Americans? Where are all...
Politician 1 turns off a TV. Marisol disappears. Politician 1 goes back to his table at the restaurant Glorified Cafe of a posh New York City law office, the kind of place that rich people would call casual. Politician 1 and Politician 2 sit at a table. Matt, working as a custodian, sweeps the floor in the background. He has the air of an Oscar-winning actor forced to play a supernumerary.
We go 5 minutes without hearing about illegals. Yeah, but yeah, I know Kevin. Spent a year with him one night.
He needs to cool it with identity politics, lose him the race for sure. Gay, this, Latin, that, crazy people with a gun. Clear, simple, easier to control and disseminate.
Yeah? No! I don't give a fuck what he says. No! You think Arroway's gonna get reelected?
Probably. Hey, get our waiter. Don't know what's taking so goddamn long.
Matt isn't sure what to do. He's going to get in trouble if he leaves his post.
Are you deaf? Go get our waiter.
Matt exits.
World's going to shit.
I remember when people wanted to work hard. Now all these lazy ass millennials just want a free ride. I started out with nothing. Nothing.
Just a couple $1 million from your dad.
Hey, I worked for what I have.
Beat. This is when they would take a deep, elegant sip of their drinks, if they had any. Matt re-enters.
Your waiter will be out soon. They're swamped out front.
Can you just take our order?
I don't work here. I'm a custodian in the building. Today I was assigned to this floor.
So on this floor, take our order to the kitchen.
I'm not allowed to.
Politician 2 pulls out a $100 bill and holds it out to Matt.
I'll get fired.
See, that's what I like. Integrity. Good man.
He puts the money away. Matt looks at it longingly. He goes back to work. He can hear everything the two men are saying.
Poor guy, probably isn't very bright working the job like that.
So, do you want it or not?
Look, I enjoy politics more as a spectator sport.
If the Democrats win,
The NRA won't give you your kickback.
shh, it's about money. This isn't just about money.
Careful, I think your nose just grew 6 inches.
Well, I'm serious. Fucking liberals, man. They say they're all about peace, love, and equality. They're the reason we didn't enter World War II until Pearl fucking Harbor. If you really let everyone just live their life the way they want, it's a recipe for a literal disaster. They want to scream about Trump's immigration policies? Look, I'm not saying I like the guy, but at least he wants to do something about the problem. What are these assholes going to do when some extremist manages to slip into our country and pull another 9/11? They moan about pulse, but then they want to just open our borders to every... The life of one poor Syrian refugee is not worth the safety of the entire population of the United States. And sure, a crying kid looks great on a poster, but we're not talking about a bunch of sad children. We're talking about adult men and women who are potentially infiltrating this country with the intent to destroy us. Democrats just want to bury their heads in the sand and pretend that all people are really good at heart. Fuck them and their liberal bullshit.
What do you want me to do?
Run against Arroway. There must be some dirt someone can find on him. We need a man with a strong constitution fighting for us in there.
What would your solution be to all those problems?
Well, tell the immigrants they're not getting in until they take care of business and clean up their own fucking countries.
Tell them?
You know, sometimes I empathize with those terrorists.
Which ones?
The Muslims, you idiot. What other ones are there? They got their agenda wrong, but their methods get stuff done. They want a war with the West. They got the best damn war in history. Don't tell anyone I didn't mean it like that.
He blows his nose with his napkin and drops it on the floor. A beat, Matt picks it up and throws it away.
But if you're living in a world of corruption, sometimes you have to use corrupt methods to deal with it. Why do you think I take money from the NRA? I think they're disgusting. But if they're going to help me get the really important stuff done, I'll advocate for their stupid guns.
What about people who die because of lack of regulations?
Collateral damage.
You can't really believe that.
We're at war.
Not with the American people.
We're at war with a world of corruption. People are all talk and no grit. They don't want to work for anything. Not like this young man. Boy, what do you want to, what do you do when you're not here?
The following should have a similar air to the Mad Tea Party from Alice in Wonderland, with Matt as Alice.
I'm a student.
Putting yourself through school.
Yes.
You look a little old to be a student.
Grad student.
Studying what?
Engineering.
Undergrad? Oh, sorry, that's on my line.
Undergrad?
Engineering.
And you're working your way through school by being a janitor?
Custodian.
Either term is accurate.
Why exactly are you a janitor?
The hours are flexible. I can work nights.
It's not night now.
No.
It's a respectable job. Could you do better? Sure. And you will.
What do you think of everything going on in the world?
Matt is suddenly confused and a bit terrified. How on earth is he supposed to be honest in present company?
Well, I think we're having a tough time.
Did you go for Trump?
Of course he did.
Because if you didn't, I think we're going to have to kick your ass.
You can't talk like that in public.
I'm just kidding.
Kick your ass. What are you, 12?
I could get you fired like that.
Yeah, I mean, sure I did.
And he knows I could too.
And then erupt into laughter.
Power, that's the only thing that gets stuff done. Man up, get a fucking gun and a megaphone.
And we need to get stuff done. The world's gone to hell. Don't you think?
Sure.
Extremists.
Yes.
Crazy feminists.
Hey man.
What happened to just going to church on Sunday and trying to do good?
Yeah.
Welfare moochers.
Yes. Fucking faggots.
What's next, bestiality?
Marrying children.
They look at Matt. Why isn't he chiming in?
Yeah. Fucking faggots.
The politicians laugh.
You'd say anything we told you to, wouldn't you? No one will ever do anything to stop us because we're the men. The rest of you are just scared, pussy-ass little girls. You don't like what I'm saying? Stop me. Or get down and suck my dick and I'll let you keep your job. You gonna stop me?
Politician one seems deadly serious. Matt is terrified.
Or you could just get our fucking waiter and we'll call it even. This is ridiculous.
Matt runs out.
You got plans for Christmas?
Nah, but I got a hooker for New Year's.
The following clip is projected on the back wall.
Cassandra's apartment. It's a rundown studio, but it has a bohemian charm. An East Village hobbit hole, though it's not in the East Village and it's not a hobbit hole. There's a makeshift desk stage right, a bed up center, an electric tea kettle, and some mostly empty cereal boxes stage left. Tons of papers and books are scattered around. In the upstage left corner of the room, the gentleman leans against the doorway. He could not be more out of place in this environment. He wears an exquisitely tailored suit that seems more 1930s than 2016. He is everything his name would imply: elegant, intelligent, and overwhelmingly powerful. He could be quite dangerous if he chose. He seems to be, in an odd way, an envoy from fairy.
When I was a kid, I used to ask people to tell me fairy tales, but I would say, tell me Hansel and Gretel, but if the witch won. Eventually they'd realize I was serious and they'd get really quiet. I think the most legit answer I managed was, well, then Hansel and Gretel would be dead, the end. I don't know what I was looking for, but I really needed to know what would happen. I thought you might not come back this time.
I did.
You take so long sometimes. Next time you might not come again, ever. Matt won't, maybe you'll be next. When you're gone, I feel like half my brain's been cut out, like I've had a lobotomy or I'm missing one of my senses, but when you're here,
When I'm here,
it's like my mind's on fire. Can't keep up. Or like I'm Lady Poole, but with the opposite of a rose at my mouth. What would that be? I am Lucy Pevensey, Wendy Darling, and Alice Little, a child of two worlds. It's painful, you don't know.
would you like for me to go?
No. It'll kill me if you do and kill me if you don't.
The gentleman starts to leave.
No, stay, please. It hurts too much when you leave.
When was the last time you ate?
I'm not hungry.
I don't believe you.
I wouldn't lie to you. I don't have any money anyway.
Is that why?
No, my stomach gets messed up.
Holding too much.
No.
Too many tears. What would you like to eat most in the world? What would feel good to eat?
Are you going to offer me Turkish delight? And a queenship in Narnia?
No.
He studies her as if reading the deepest recesses of her mind. He holds out his hand as if there's something resting in it. To the audience, his hand appears empty, but Cassandra sees something beautiful beyond imagining.
That looks... Did they make that in Fairyland or something?
He smiles. She goes to touch it, but her hand passes through air. She looks at him, almost hurt.
Describe it. Make it real.
Cassandra studies the delicacy closely. Then, as if at once creating a spell and casting it, she says,
It's like Marvelous, but with silver frosting. Real amorphous silver spun by magical silkworms, or silverworms, I guess. Like a cloud with little pearls on top that shine like stars. It's big, more like an oversized cream puff. It feels illuminated from the inside, like it's filled with liquid joy.
and as she finishes, suddenly there is a real live pastry in the gentleman's hand. It is very beautiful and tantalizing, but it is a real human pastry, not one from fairyland. A large cupcake with silver frosting. It is lovely, but a great disappointment after Cassandra's description. We see her watch the fairy treat dissolve into the real thing in front of us.
It's never as good in reality as it is in my head.
Dreams must be made real to enjoy them, and everything must die a bit to become real.
Phooey to death.
Et in Arcadia.
He takes a bite of the cupcake, nods enthusiastically, then holds it out for Cassandra to try. She shakes her head no. There's a knock on the door. Cassandra jolts to attention. A beat. Another knock, more urgent. She goes to the door, looks through the keyhole. The gentleman fades into the shadows. Cassandra opens the door. Ishmael and Safa stand there. They look haggard. They're both terrified of this white American woman. Though Cassandra is always a bit ethereal, there is no hint of the strangeness she allows herself to express with Matt and the gentleman. She's completely down to earth.
I'm sorry, miss. We're staying in the apartment down the door. It's
Oh, no, do you need the super's number? He's never here, but
oh no, we don't don't have a phone. My name is Ismail, and this is my little sister, Safa. Uh,
He looks
said
down at her, then
people will.
panics, starts pulling off her hijab.
Hey, take that off. People will.
no, it's okay. She doesn't have to. It's very pretty. I like the stars.
We don't mean any harm. I was just wondering if there if someone knew a locksmith.
Sure. Come in. You can use my phone.
She leaves the door open as she goes to look for her phone. Ishmael and Safa nervously step inside.
I'm sorry, it's a mess.
So is mine. Mother always says.
Ishmael shoots her a look. She stops, then nervously says,
I should clean it.
Cassandra finds her very old phone and looks up the contact info for a nearby locksmith. She hands the phone to Ishmael.
Here you go.
You're okay with my using it?
Why wouldn't I be? The number's saved under locksmith. I should have some tea somewhere. I could make you a very bad cup of tea.
Ishmael takes the phone and calls.
Hello? Yes, my door is jammed. I wasn't sure. No, there's something more. Okay. Yes. You're still open for. Oh, yes. Thank you. You think that's all it? Yes, it's just around the corner on. Yeah, you've been here before. Yes, I was told he's never around. Thank you.
He hangs up the phone and puts it down.
Darn it, I can't find it.
She picks up a couple books, trying to clear some space.
It's all right, miss.
Oh, Cassandra. Sorry, Cassandra. I'm a writer. That's why all the books, paper. Hold on just a sec.
We should go. Wait, so we don't miss him.
Oh, all right.
What's green, hangs on the wall, and whistles?
Quiet. Be quiet. We should go.
You don't have to.
Yes, we've already imposed too much.
Not at all.
Ishmael is already halfway out the door.
Here,
She hands him a small book. It's The Little Prince.
for while you wait. It takes place in the Sahara Desert. I know, a Eurocentric story that takes place in the Sahara, but might feel a little more like home than here.
You have been too kind.
He starts to leave, pulling Safa after him.
What's green, hangs on the wall, and whistles?
Enough with that.
A herring.
They both stop, stunned. They look back at her.
What?
It's an old Jewish riddle.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, no, that's part of the fun. It goes, what's green hangs on the wall and whistles? A herring, but a herring isn't green. You can paint it green, but a herring doesn't hang on the wall. You can nail it to a wall, but a herring doesn't whistle. Oh, come on, I just put that in to keep it from being too obvious. It was in a movie, Mirror Mask.
He holds up the phone and shows them. Safa has tears in her eyes. Then she starts laughing. It's the first time she's smiled in weeks.
A herring.
Come on, Safa.
Oh, don't eat the pomegranate. Apple, no, pomegranate. Just don't. I know that sounds weird.
They're gone. The gentleman emerges.
I'm sad, lonely. Matt had this cat, sweetest little thing with a crooked tail. He saw it in a pet store, but he was about to go on a trip, so he decided if the cat was still there when he got back, he'd get it. So he came back and the cat was still there, and he was really surprised. And one of the pet shop workers said that a lot of people would come in and really love the cat until they saw that it had a crooked tail, and they would say, I want one that's not broken. I'm like the cat. Like my whole life, people have looked at me and said, I want one that's not broken.
Why don't you call Matt?
No, I don't want to be needy, Cassandra. I have to be careful. I'm already annoying enough.
You take care of everyone else.
Because they matter. I don't. I'm broken.
Tell me, what color is this particular loneliness?
Blue?
The exchange eventually becomes faster and faster, with the gentleman pushing Cassandra to answer quickly, honestly, from her gut.
No, more specific.
I don't know.
Dance around the words. Let it find you.
Aqua, azure, cornflower. No, that's too far.
No, precision. It's okay if only you understand it for now.
Brandeis, it's Brandeis blue.
But there is no praise from the gentleman. He is a taskmaster.
What else is Brandeis blue? Tastes, sounds, music.
She and we hear each piece of music as she says it.
Debussy.
Specific.
Claire de Lune. No, that's Iris. Reflect on Low.
What else?
Dilettant, Morton Lordenson. No, there's pinks and too much white. The inner light piano and flute duet. No, too much yellow. The symphony? Too many colors.
That's what a symphony is. Keep moving.
Awful waste of space. Too many stars.
Waves her hand as if wiping the music away.
Color, not style.
On the willows.
Closer.
Waving through a window.
A long beat. They listen. They watch the color of the music.
Yes, the colors match.
Good. Now, don't listen closely. Look through it.
It's like a room that's too big. Like vertigo, like you're going to fall, but there's nowhere to fall. Like I can't see and I'm on the edge of a void.
Are you afraid?
No, I've lived here. I'm used to it. I don't want anyone else to live here. It's too awful. I want to keep them from knowing what it's like. But
you don't want to be alone. What is it like?
a forest, a grim forest.
How does it feel?
Like you're on a quest you can't finish.
Does that scare you?
When I was little, I had a dream that I was trying to hide from a horrifying creature. And then suddenly I found a sword in my hand and a voice said to me, clear as day, you have to fight. I can't, I said. The sword isn't going to save me. The monster's too strong. It'll kill me no matter what I do. Yes, the voice replied, almost not caring at all. Fight.
What did you do?
I started crying.
And then?
I turned and walked toward the monster.
Why?
Because I loved the voice. I loved the voice more than I was scared of the monster. I don't want just a voice. I want something tangible. Love that you can't touch or argue with or care for. It's too painful.
But a voice is better than being alone?
Yes.
Take it all. Hold it. Feel it. Squeeze it into words. What comes first?
The dark, always the dark.
What about it?
I've learned to live alone here in the dark.
Speak it. Write it. Make it real.
She runs and grabs a piece of paper and a pen. She writes frantically. A beat.
I've learned to live alone here in the dark. Betrayal, sorrow, loss, I know them well. Since birth, I've heard their songs, their each remark, never blessed with candle, book, or bell. Forgive me, love, if in your light I wince. I've met demons come in such a form. My heart and soul mere words cannot evince. My history is joy turned to a storm. But every time I doubt, you take my hand as if on cue. You exorcise despair. And looking outward, we together stand, and through these woods my journey now is shared. Of all my fears, now only one I see, that you, my love, should ever part from me. Stop, there's too many words, they'll burst through me, blow me up to smithereens.
And the music abruptly stops. Cassandra collapses on the ground, desperately holding her head as if her brain might explode. The gentleman goes to her and holds her.
It's out of you. See? It exists. Right there. You've named it. And when you name a thing, you see it, face to face.
Prognoscus.
And Meg.
I don't want to be Meg. I don't want to see it.
And Meg. When I was memorizing the names of the stars, part of the purpose was to help them each to be more particularly the particular star each one was supposed to be. That's basically a namer's job. How can we meet God face to face till we have faces? Now your loneliness has a face. It isn't just shouting into the void. It has a face that people can see, that you can see and understand.
Why am I the one that can see you? Why was this given to me? It is a heavy thing to stand at the gates of fairy, peering through and never being allowed to enter.
Would you rather be like them and not see at all?
No. But my brain and hands can't move fast enough to do what I'm supposed to do. I should have been made stronger.
He doesn't respond.
You won't leave me.
I'm not a tame thing.
Like Aslan?
I didn't say lion.
No. Fox then.
He shakes his head no.
I'm the fox. You're the prince. Once you've tamed a thing, you're responsible for it.
He kisses the top of her head.
I won't leave.
I think I love Matt because at his best, he reminds me of you.
Can you eat now?
He softly nods yes. He holds out the cupcake. She breaks off a tiny piece and eats it.
Do you want to know what I want most right now? In the whole world? I want to lie down and fall asleep with my head on your shoulder. I think I could go to sleep with my head on your shoulder.
He takes off his jacket and puts it down. He takes a blanket off the bed, wraps her in it, and lies down with her. She rests her head on his shoulder. He recites to her as if the words are a lullaby.
In winter, when the fields are white, I sing this song for your delight. In spring, when woods are getting green, I'll try and tell you what I mean. In summer, when the days are long, perhaps you'll understand the song. In autumn, when the leaves are brown, take pen and ink and write it down. There is such a place as fairyland, but only children can find the way to it. Few who remain children at heart can find that fair, lost path again, and blessed are they blessed are they above mortals. Only they can bring us tidings from that dear country where we once sojourned and from which we must evermore be exiles. The world calls them its storytellers.
Ella Montgomery, the story girl.
Shh.
I'm going to name you Mr. Moon. Yes, I feel like that's your name.
Sleep, my girl, sleep. I'll stay with you.
Does someone who's not Malcolm or I want to take the stage directions here?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Act 1, Scene 5. The following news clip is projected. Winter sits in an elegant chair across from an American journalist. He's being interviewed at the Icelandic embassy. He wears a sport coat over a t-shirt that says, "Don't make me repeat myself. History." He speaks with an enchanting and implaceable accent. It's a little Australian, a little Argentinian, and a little Polish. He is our central point of focus. The interviewer is almost in line with the audience, barely visible.
Let's get the ordinary out of the way first, shall we? All those ordinary questions I know you have on that pad there. I grew up in a cult, it's true. That's what it was, an extremist religious cult.
Which religion?
All of them. My mother was Jewish, raised in mandatory Palestine, escaped in the 40s to Argentina. My grandmother was a suicide bomber. My grandfather was a Jewish militant. My father was American Polish, raised Catholic. He met my mother on a missionary trip to Argentina and got kicked out of his family for marrying outside of the faith. They moved to Australia, where my father started a religious group that's joined people from all faiths. Utopia. Until he was arrested and the group was revealed for the corrupt hellhole it was. Everything you're imagining, they did. I'm not a cult leader. I'm not an anarchist. That's the farthest thing from what I am.
What are you?
An incurable humanist.
Last year, your company
A biotech research nonprofit, the first of its kind.
was exposed for, described as worse than Theranos, having the same manipulation and corruption, but more dangerously, the addition of diabolically accurate science. The company, name redacted, used its resources to expose classified information.
Not too much good, I believe.
And was discovered to be secretly developing new dangerous weapons, including new kinds of biological warfare, eugenics based on genetic manipulation.
Stop! Listen. Listen. You've been programmed. Everyone has. You get a trigger and it's instant fear. Weapons are terrifying. Regimes falling are dangerous. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Fall in line. Follow orders. Pray. Zeus had his lightning and we cowered. I think we're long overdue for a contemporary Prometheus. That's all I'm saying.
I'm surprised to hear mythic metaphors from you, Mr. Winter.
Why? It's all applicable, even if it isn't. All of human history is one giant story. We feel something's wrong with the world and we internalize that. We call it sin and cower before the gods. We blame ourselves for not reaching the evolutionary level above human, synonymous for many with the kingdom of heaven. Why am I not dwelling in the kingdom of heaven? Why isn't it here? Someone must be keeping it from me. So we worship. We kneel down at the altar of Jesus, Yahweh, excuse me, good, Allah, capitalism, socialism, wealth. Come down and save me. It's ridiculous. We're all like little rats running around in a cage squeaking, please feed me, please feed me. When all we need to do is rip up the stupid little paper maze and raid the cheese larder. You want to know the secret? We are the gods. The fear of our own power is what has kept us from our birthright. Peace, evolution, heaven, these are all in our hands to create and control.
So you believe we are perfect godlike creatures?
Can be, once we purify the evil out. And that purification comes from our choices, not some ceremonial, well, insert insulting phrase here. If you could get rid of the evil in the world, wouldn't you? I have the scientific power to eliminate differences in race, sexuality. Imagine no more reason for one group to think themselves better than anyone else.
I'd prefer not to play Dr. Jekyll.
Why? Because mommy told you a scary bedtime story? No one's going to do it for us, so why don't we get down to business ourselves? Science, technology, thinking, these are the real miracles. All I have ever done is work to put a stop to everyone holding that back. Abandoning our resources, that's all I'm saying. Let go of our feelings and start seeing what's right in front of our eyes. Man has got to take charge of man, or we'll never see heaven.
We've heard quite a bit already of your manifesto, Mr. Winter.
I was hoping to expand its reach. I'm going to say something controversial.
Just now, you're going to say something.
We need psychopaths. I'm not saying I'm one, but they're very important to our mythos. And one could argue that they are genetically superior. They're not burdened by a conscience. They're not burdened by a system of honor. They're Machiavellian. The psychopath looks at everything like a video game. And because of that, they have more degrees of freedom. Without them, we wouldn't understand compassion.
To get on track, is it true that the Icelandic embassy
Yes, they've been taking good care of me, very supportive of
be
me.
rescinding their offer of asylum?
I cannot comment at this time. I've been here for the past 9 months and
So you're denying.
I cannot comment at this time.
Mr. Winter, what do you say to your accusers? The Australian government who's asked for your extradition, the Americans accusing you of criminal negligence.
John 8:32. Perhaps that is something your American right-wing terrorists can understand. John 8:32. That is their language. These Proud Boys. You know, the Proud Boys, the white supremacist group, they chose that name from a song from the musical Aladdin. A song written by a gay Jewish man, sung by a non-white performer playing a Middle Eastern character. These men who would kill anyone non-white, anyone gay, anyone from the Middle East. Not to mention any woman having an abortion, any woman questioning a man as you are doing now. They want a war with the East. They've got the best damn war in history. They say the baby you abort could have cured cancer. I say the gay kid you bullied into suicide could have cured cancer. The teenager dead after a school shooting could have cured cancer. The Syrian refugee you turned away and left to die could have cured cancer. I grew up in extremism. I've seen the damage it can do.
You don't consider yourself a non-religious extremist.
There is no such thing.
Keith Raniere?
Throughout time, the best way to bring people together is to give them a really good enemy. Bullshit. What I offer is a true way to salvation. We're still here. We're still thriving. We know the truth. After all, it's through winter that the world's reborn.
Scene 6. Inside the apartment where Ishmael and Safa are staying. It's a rundown studio, empty except for the couple of broken furniture pieces they've pulled in from off the street. Tanner stands closest to the door. He has his hand on his phone like it's a gun he's about to unholster.
Everything okay with your door?
Yes, you did a great job. I didn't know locksmiths made follow-up calls.
We don't. normally. That's a lot of computers.
It's for work.
It seemed like a lot when I was here, but I didn't get a good look. Thought I should make sure everything was okay. Rats like to chew through cords, might start a fire, burn down the whole block. That's not something you want, is it?
No, we're fine. Thank you for your concern. If you don't mind,
Where is it?
where's what?
Your weapons, all your mass destruction weapons.
You think we're hiding multiple nuclear warheads in a studio apartment?
Ishmael smacks her arm. Be quiet. Tanner pulls out a handgun and cocks it.
Why does a locksmith need a gun?
Know how many thieves I deal with on a regular basis? This is my God-given right as an American citizen. You have no rights.
How do you know we're not citizens?
I have eyes. There are my papers. Concealed carry permit. Show me yours.
We have done nothing. We're not going to do anything. I'm Ismail. I have a master's degree in mathematics.
I didn't go to college. I never had the opportunity. Lucky you. But maybe it's better. All college is white guilt indoctrination. We've become a minority in our own land, and the incoming trash wants to tell me that I'm responsible for every bad thing that's happened in human history. The Indians, slavery, the Holocaust. Fuck me if I want my country back.
If non-whites had been in power for so long, I'm sure we would have done awful things too.
Would have. You attacked us on our own soil.
I didn't.
The Mexicans coming to steal our jobs, affirmative action, keeping us out of school and in poverty in our country. We're not allowed to be proud of our heritage. You could get down on your knees in the middle of Central Park, start speaking your fucking mumbo jumbo, praying to the God who destroyed our city. But I want to celebrate the Confederate flag. I'm the boogeyman? Boo! Get off my fucking lawn.
What do you want?
Show me your papers. I'm not a monster. You say you're not doing anything wrong? All this tech is completely normal. Show me your visa, your green card.
You have no right to.
Shut up.
Tanner cocks his gun.
I knew you were illegals, could smell it on you, infecting the whole neighborhood.
A tense beat. Then Ishmael grabs Safa and sprints toward the front door. Tanner pulls them back into the center of the room. He punches Ishmael, stunning him. Safa runs at him and tries to kick him, but Tanner throws her against a wall as easily as if she were a little bird. She hits her head and is knocked almost unconscious. Tanner stalks toward Ishmael, then beats the shit out of him, punctuating every word with a kick.
I'm not going to let you hurt anyone.
A long beat. Ishmael is coughing up blood. Tanner aggressively searches the apartment. There's nothing but a couple satchels filled with clothes. He reaches into Ishmael's pockets and finds some money. It's everything Ishmael has. He pockets it. He moves over to Safa to see if she's hiding anything on her person.
Don't you touch her.
Beat. Tanner pulls out his phone and dials.
Hello? I need to report 2 illegal immigrants. Middle Eastern. I think they have a bomb. Their room is filled with computers and wires. Just doing my American duty. I don't want anyone to get hurt.
He hangs up the phone.
They are going to kill us. If I go back, they are going to kill us.
That's not my problem, man.
Our family died.
My brother was killed in 9/11. He was a locksmith too, because neither of us had the money to go to college. He was fixing a billionaire's fucking safe, and Islamic scum murdered him. But I'm the asshole that didn't want them building a mosque as a fucking memorial. Some of us still believe in truth, justice, and the American way.
One day you will see God, and he will look like me.
I'd rather burn in hell.
Before Ishmael can even try to stand, we hear sirens blaring outside. It's over. Tanner exits singing Tomorrow Belongs to Me under his breath. As the lights fade on the scene, we see Matt on the opposite side of the stage. He's working, cleaning the floor of the same restaurant where we last saw him. He looks up and watches the beginning of the following news clip on a TV above him. Someone feels like taking the stage directions here.
I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Act 1, Scene 7. Lights burst up on Cassandra's apartment. Cassandra stares at John, who stands in the doorway holding a large, perfectly wrapped Whoville-like present.
Hi. Happy birthday.
Thanks. It's not my birth.
Almost. How are you?
Why are you here?
I wanted to see how you're doing and give you your present. This place is a mess.
I know.
You clean it up.
I know where everything is. I have home advantage. The enemy is confused by the terrain, but I know where all the secret passageways are.
Are you starting this up again? This
No. Sorry.
clever pun, though. Home advantage. That's clever. Like home court, but we're in your home.
I think it's some of my best work.
Write that down. Use that in one of your writing things. Funny. Clever.
You said,
Yeah.
get right on that. How are you?
I'm good. Martha's good. Everyone's good.
Good.
I went to Per Se last night. Really good. You should try it when you get a chance.
Why are you here?
You haven't opened your present.
Dad.
Very rude to not even say thank you.
I did say,
No?
I said thanks was the exact word. Although technically you said happy birthday and then I said thanks and then you said, how are you? So I guess really I thanked you for wishing me happy birthday. So you're right. That was rude. Thank you for the present. I really appreciate it.
Are you taking your meds? Are you lying?
Matt made sure he takes care of me. He did. I mean, the last time I saw him.
Matt, your friend. You should spend time with other people.
Yes, with all the other people who want to be around me, who care about me.
You're going to open your present?
You know, Matt had this cat.
Open your present. I'm standing in the door.
I had this little crooked tail. There was a crooked man and he
Don't
went to
invite
crooked
me
man,
in.
he bought a crooked
You
cat.
open your goddamn present.
Cassandra slowly takes the present from him. He closes the door, takes off his jacket, and finds somewhere to sit down. Cassandra takes the present and slowly unwraps it. She's trying to make the unwrapping almost sacred. She does not get many gifts, and she knows this one will be a disappointment. So the most enjoyment she's going to get is from the Schrodinger's cat of unwrapping it. She finally finishes, opens the box, and pulls out a very expensive designer purse. It screams, I am a wealthy bitch. She could not be holding a more inappropriate gift.
They say it's all the rage with the young girls. Take a pill.
Huh? Because I wasn't more excited about the present?
Your father, please, to show me that you're at least trying to make an effort to be okay.
I'm not hurting anything.
I've given you more than enough leeway. I let you live here on your
I'm
own.
allowed to live wherever I do whatever. I'm an adult.
I don't.
I know, pay for everything myself.
And then you go and do things,
Never talk to me. See me, you treat me like I'm a secret you don't want found out.
foolish things that could jeopardize my. I am headed into an election year.
You don't want anyone to know about your crazy daughter.
No, that's not what I said.
You're Connor, you don't have any children.
That is not. There you go, making things up again.
I see it.
You can't see that.
I see.
Take your goddamn pill.
She begrudgingly takes one.
I was published last week. Peace of mind. Supported me for a whole month. Not the blog articles. That's how I pay my rent, by the way, most of the time. You know, those silly things, easy, just whip them up. I don't mean those. I was published for real.
For M. Title.
You saw it. You read it? That's why you're.
For M. A poem followed by an essay by Cassandra Arroway in the New Yorker. Not for Matt, for M. You wanted to protect him, but by all means slap Arroway right over it.
Dad.
You have any idea what could happen if my donors found out my daughter wrote a piece defending? Praising?
To,
I don't know where you get these ideas from. You think it's okay what he does? Or since you can't get a normal boy, do you think that if you stroke the ego of a little faggot, you can at least pretend to have a boyfriend?
don't call him that.
Let me tell you something, Missy. No one is ever going to really love you. Because you are the most selfish little... Do you know how much of my time and energy I had to waste because you just can't manage to be an adult and act normal? No one wants to hear what you think. And you know what? What he's doing is wrong. You're a little hypocrite. You used to cry yourself to sleep missing your mom, and now you're saying it's totally fine for a kid to grow up without a mother? Oh, but I guess it makes total sense for you to defend someone who's sick and doesn't want to get well. The shooting in Orlando wasn't even about homophobia. But why should that stop you from twisting the facts to be about whatever agenda you want to get across? And last week, there was a raid in the apartment building of the illegal Muslim. If any of this got out, it could cost me re-election. I am standing up for morals in this country because we are going to hell, and someone needs to say, you can't do whatever you want just because it's your truth. Why would you do this?
Because he's my friend. Because he's the kindest, most... He's hurting and I can't do anything about it. I know what is wrong is that he should go 1 second of his life believing he is anything less than a glorious gift from God, because he is. He is. My best friend is scared he's evil because of who he loves. He's terrified he might die if he walks down the street just for being himself. And I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. And I wanted to say that just because I don't want him to hurt. I don't want him to feel alone. And there is nothing else that I can do to make him feel that. I don't have money. I don't have power. I have words. I have stupid words. I have all the words and I use them. I wrote something from my heart. That's not a political statement. That's my heart. Look at my heart. Matt is good. He's good.
John gets his coat and starts to leave.
Did you mean it? That no one would ever love me?
I never said that. Stop making things up.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not trying to mess up your campaign. I'll be invisible, I promise. Maybe it was another Cassandra Arroway that wrote it. You don't have a daughter anyway, right?
That's all I wanted to hear.
He turns to go.
Can I ask you something? Why did you name me Cassandra?
It's a family name. I thought it was pretty.
What about the meaning?
What meaning? Take another pill. 4 hours.
Scene 8. The following news clip is projected. Matt stands in his apartment. His cell phone faces him resting on a stand on a table. He talks to it as if FaceTiming someone. He starts to open a large box.
When I was 4 years old, my mom took me to see Santa at the mall. I was waiting in line behind all these other children who were getting on Santa's lap one by one and asking him for what they wanted for Christmas. Nerf guns, a bike, a full Nintendo Play System. The truth is, I wanted all those things too. But I had seen all this stuff on the news, stuff I wasn't supposed to be watching. These terrible wars, innocent kids like me being killed in ways no 4-year-old should ever. So much suffering. Like the whole world was groaning under the weight of the pain.
He takes pieces out of the box and starts assembling them.
So I'm standing in line waiting to talk to Santa, and all at once I had this genius idea. Santa could bring you anything you asked for, right? That was the way it worked. Be good, and at Christmas, Santa would give you one big, giant wish. And I had been good. I had been so good. So I had this revelation. If Santa could grant you one wish every Christmas, why hadn't anyone ever been selfless and used their Santa wish not for a present they wanted, but for something big, something that everyone needed? It meant you wouldn't get whatever present you wanted, but wouldn't it be worth it? So my turn came. I walked up and sat on Santa's lap. It was a good Santa too, real beard and everything. And he asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I looked in his eyes and I said, deadly serious, almost like a prayer, Santa, I want to use my wish for peace on earth. It sounds cheesy, like some corny Miss America answer, but I meant it. Santa looked at me with such heartache, like he was keeping himself from crying, and I got really confused. And he said, you know, son, there are some things that even Santa can't do. I can't make there be peace on earth. To have that, everyone has to wish for it. He paused, and then he said, wouldn't you like a nice Nintendo game system instead?
He pauses in his assembly.
Something broke in me that day. I realized that Santa wasn't really magical. He was just a guy with a beard who brought you stupid plastic toys. What was the point of being able to wish for anything in the universe if you couldn't wish for something that mattered?
He continues.
Because I knew, even then, that you could never get everyone in the world to give up their personal, selfish wishes to ask for peace on earth. It would never happen. That meant that there would always be sadness and pain. It wasn't that I stopped believing in Santa that day, not really, not yet, but I stopped believing that Santa was good. From that moment on, I knew that he was a phony. I became Holden Caulfield. At 4 years old, I knew that Santa and most everyone else were nothing but phonies.
By now, we can start to see the pieces Matt is assembling or forming a military-grade machine gun.
We are the children of a new age, of Columbine metal detectors on our way to class and wondering if we would survive to come home every day we went to school, of having our little sisters and brothers killed in their kindergarten classrooms, of people mowed down at a movie theater, of watching our lovers die while dancing at a nightclub. The terrorists are here. We are living in enemy-occupied territory. And the villains come swathed with a smile, because the real bad guys are the ones who won't do anything to stop it. Now I know. There is no Santa Claus. God is a homophobic, greedy, racist white politician, and there are no angels in America. Well, fine. Peace schmeece. We'd rather have our toys anyway.
The gun is assembled. Matt adjusts the camera and we see he hasn't been talking to anyone. He's been filming a statement.
Let's see how you like it when the world you've created comes home to you. You've converted me. I'm your Frankenstein's creature created by the United States of America, and I'm coming to give you a taste of your own medicine. My name is Matt Turner, and as you already know, if you're watching this video, in exactly 2 hours, I will initiate a mass shooting on the headquarters of the NRA. Fuck peace. I want war.
Blackout. Sections from the following news clips are projected on the back wall. Scene 9, the interior of a corporate office building elevator. Selena Gomez's Hands to Myself plays Muzak-like on the background. Standing in the elevator is Elle, a young teenage girl who looks like she's trying to copy the Kardashians or Britney Spears. She wears a short, girly skirt and a light-colored skimpy top. You can see her cute bra sticking out. She chomps gum and is permanently attached to her iPhone. She carries the same purse John gave Cassandra. She bops to whatever is playing through her earbuds. Matt enters. He's wearing a large coat and is carrying several black duffel bags. He's already nervous, and seeing his elevator companion just makes it worse. He looks at her half in disgust and half in pity. The doors close. A long beat.
Where are you going?
Cafeteria.
Yeah, right. You're going to the NRA.
What?
My dad's a total gun toter. Gonna sell something?
Sure.
Don't be embarrassed. You like guns. Good for you.
Are you meeting your dad?
Hell no. I'm going to Dr. Johnson, 12th floor. He's a plastic surgeon, not a cancer doctor or something.
Aren't you a little young?
I should have started 2 years ago,
Wha-
when my bone structure was more pliable, but it took me all this time to convince my mom. FML.
What are we stuck?
Happened to my dad a few weeks ago. They're rewiring the electricity or something. At least that's some bullshit they told him. So, why are you at the NRA headquarters?
Meetings about some new kind of guns regulations. I brought visual aids.
I thought you were selling stuff.
A beat. Shit.
Whatever. You do you.
What are you having done?
My nose. Thank God. I want my boobs done too, but I have to get my nose done. Like, now.
Why?
Are you, like, blind? See here? There's a little bump on the top.
I don't see anything.
He takes his finger and puts it on the bump.
It's small, but it's there. Then it's just way too long. I look like a fucking witch. Especially when I smile, so I don't smile.
I think it has character.
Gross! I'm a fucking hag.
I think you're pretty.
No, you don't. Or you would have had said something when you walked in. Hey, girl, you're hot.
I wouldn't say that.
Right, because I'm not.
No, because you're a kid.
Lame. Old guys hit on girls my age all the time. My friend Krista is a fucking 30-year-old. See? I think you're super cute in a wizened kind of way. So I just say it. You didn't have to fish. I like your coat. It's very terrorist chic.
Is there a button we should press or something to call someone?
Oh, yeah.
He pushes a button and a red light goes on.
Yay, we're stuck. If anyone's there. Can I tell you a secret? Because, like, I'm never gonna see you after this.
Sure.
I'm kind of scared. No one came with me. I've never had surgery before. It's dumb, but I kind of wanted someone to just, like, hold my hand, you know? And be there when I'm waking up. I'm gonna be in so much fucking pain, aren't I?
Then why are you doing it? You don't honestly think you look like a hag.
Did you go to Disneyland when you were a kid?
He nods.
I went all the time. I was obsessed with Disney princesses. I wanted to be Cinderella. My name's Elle, and I used to make the kids at school call me Cinderella. I'd always go and meet the princesses, and they would give me a hug, and they'd call me princess, and say I could just be like them when I grew up. My dream was to be a Disney princess. For real. As soon as I was old enough, could pass for old enough, I went to the auditions to be a princess at Disney World. I did the little dance and everything, and I got a call back. I almost died. So I go back and they hand me a few scenes. They were for the wicked stepmother, the evil queen, and the ugly stepsisters. And I went to the people in charge and I said, I'm sorry, there's been a mistake. I auditioned to be a princess. And they said, oh, honey, you'll never be a princess with that nose. You have to have a tiny, round, upturned nose to be a princess. But with yours, you'd be a great ugly stepmother. You can be anything you want to be. Every girl's a princess. But when you go through puberty, if you don't have the right nose, you're evil. I don't want to be evil. I want to have a good nose. I want to look like a princess. I want out of this fucking body. It hurts and needs things. It's like God trapped me in a cage and left me there to suffer. I want to crawl out, so I'm going to. Even if I have to make the whole fucking thing wither and die.
The elevator starts again. A beat. They arrive at Elle's floor.
I'm going to kill the evil. Have fun with your thing.
I want to kill the evil too.
So do it. It's only costing me 5,000. Tell you what, I'll do my thing if you do yours. Your meeting or whatever.
Deal.
She leaves.
You won't be in pain for long.
Blackout. Scene 10. News footage is broadcast on the back wall. We are just receiving more details about the shooting at the NRA headquarters. Based on limited security footage, it is strongly believed that Virginia Senator John Arroway is among the dead. The exact casualty list will not be known until officers are able to enter the building. The shooter, it is believed, is still inside. The remaining people left on the floor are being treated as a hostage situation. An inner office of the NRA. Matt sits at a computer, frantically trying to upload his statement video and broadcast it. A small wireless button trigger rests next to the computer. The door is locked and barricaded. In the center corner of the room lies the grandfather, a white businessman who has been bound and used as a hostage. There's a slight trickle of blood dripping down his forehead. There is a machine gun slung across Matt's shoulder. He's frustrated with the computer.
What are you doing?
Hostages don't get to speak.
What's the button for?
To get into the magical land of Fillory. It's to trigger a fucking bomb. What do you think?
Grandfather opens his mouth to say something. Matt points a gun at him.
Shut up.
He lowers the gun. Matt's video has uploaded. We see the beginning of it play on the computer. Matt clicks it off. Great. Now he has to upload the footage of the shooting. Perhaps we can see it play on the computer as it uploads in segments.
You think the NRA are responsible for hurting someone you care about? Which shooting was it?
The fact that you have to ask that should say enough.
What's your name? What do you do for work?
You think you humanize yourself? I'll feel bad and won't kill you?
I figured I might as well make conversation. Do you have a family? Any friends?
Yeah, I got friends. You think because I disagree with your way of living, I must be a crazy lunatic without any friends? Cassandra. She says we're like little brother and little sister.
Brother and sister, or little brother and little sister?
What's the difference?
It's just an interesting choice of words, that's all.
Matt is ignoring him.
Little brother and little sister is an incredibly obscure Grimm's fairy tale.
So?
Did this Cassandra know you were going to do
No. You leave her out of this. I shouldn't have told you her name. What happens? You're dying to tell me.
Little brother and little sister lived with a horrible stepmother. So they ran away into the woods. But the stepmother saw them, and since she was a witch,
An evil stepmother and a witch. That's overkill.
a machine gun and a bomb. Look who's talking.
Matt glares at him. He thinks about shooting him.
She bewitched all the springs in the woods. But the sister was a special child. She could hear the water's warning, and she cried out, "Please, brother, do not drink, or you will become a wild animal." The brother drank anyway.
So he became a lion or something?
A deer. Eventually, his sister died. And that's what saved him and let him become human again.
You're saying I'm an animal?
No. I'm saying your friend used an interesting choice of words.
She doesn't know what she's talking about.
But you still care about her.
Yes, because I'm not an animal. How do you know so fucking much about children's stories?
I always liked them.
Do the words Gerda, Kai, and a mirror mean anything to you?
That's from the Snow Queen. It's about a mirror that only reflects horrible things. A piece of it falls into the eye of a young boy named Kai, and he becomes very cruel. Then one day, the Snow Queen comes and takes him away. And despite his cruelty, his best friend Gerda risks her life to bring him home.
Matt types.
How about I'm Luke Skywalker, come to defeat the evil empire? Maybe I'm that story.
Did your dad ever tell you stories? Do you think he'd be happy about what you're doing?
My father fucking hates me.
Oh. I don't see how any father could hate their child.
Don't start. If I had a great dad, it's wouldn't he be ashamed of you? And if I didn't, it's, oh yeah, kid with an awful father. They're always the ones who go bad. Well, I'll tell you something. My dad is a lot like all of you. So if you want to blame someone, blame yourselves.
You want us to take responsibility.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, pathetic. This is my choice. I saw something hateful and evil, and I chose to do something about it.
Matt, I'm sorry.
B, Matt's taken aback. He believes the grandfather. Matt's never really heard these words, believed these words from an adult man in his whole life.
Human beings have a lot of problems. You're a bright, passionate young man. I see how angry you are.
Yeah, you're a fucking asshole who cares more about your right to carry a gun than my right to be alive. Don't apologize.
What is it you want to happen? You blow up this whole building. Your statement gets national news coverage, and then what? The evil is gone? Everyone in the world feels safe?
Things change.
How exactly? They do away with the NRA. You make new gun laws.
Yeah, something like that.
It's worth killing people for?
Damn right. What other choice is there?
Not worried that in your utopia there might be one person left with a gun and a very strong desire for you to take responsibility for how you hurt them?
I haven't hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. I have to make it stop. The hating, the violence.
The problem with a terribly important idea. We're going to bring this wonderful thing to everyone in the world, even if we have to kill every non-believer to do it.
You're the ones who want people to die for your ideas.
You want people to die.
I want those who have done wrong to be punished.
I hate to break it to you, son.
I'm not your son.
The NRA is not the enemy.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
No. Evil is tricky. It's not gathered in one place with its name slapped on the side of the building. This is not a den of demons. It's a building of humans. Humans are complicated things. You won't know how pushing that button affects the stories of a million other people. The only story given to us to know is our own. You don't have all the information.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. No human does.
What is a children's book-loving existential philosopher doing at the headquarters of the NRA?
What's a world peace advocate doing with a machine gun and his finger on the trigger of a bomb? I want to help you. Please.
A beat, there's something almost magical in the air. Matt chooses to ignore it. It's too dangerous.
I don't understand you guys. How did women's rights, losing your guns, and homosexuality become the three worst things that could ever happen in civilization? Why is a gay man going to hell, but not the pastor looking at kiddie porn? Why is the woman having an abortion cursed to eternal damnation, but not her father who raped her? Is power and money so important that you use moral rhetoric to completely abolish morals? When did the church decide that sin was okay as long as it occurred in the dark? That if it's a sin that straight white men enjoy, it's okay to look the other way. You like selective biblical ignorance just as much as the next person.
The whole world needs help, doesn't it?
I'm helping myself.
You really think there is no chance that you will ever regret what you're about to do?
No.
Then God help you.
I don't need a God who would let the world be like this.
I feel such pity for you. You have to make your own mistakes come hell or high water. And even if you take the whole world down with you, even if eventually you regret it, with every fiber of your soul, you refuse to learn until you do.
Matt seems to soften.
Come with me, son. Let's walk out of this room and make it right.
I'm not your son. And if you say one more word, I'll blow your fucking brains out all over this floor. Do you understand?
News footage is projected on the back wall. We received an update. A series of videos was apparently released by the shooter, including a statement of purpose and graphic footage of the shooting. We are reviewing this footage now and will share any new information it provides as soon as we have finished doing so. There's been no official statement yet from the NRA, who have been active in the past weeks advocating against stricter gun regulations in the wake of the Orlando and other shootings across the country. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. And scene.
I find it beautiful that our Lord communicated through parables, stories. God is a storyteller. Stories give us empathy. Put on someone else's shoes and walk around in them for a while. We could use more of that, because loving your neighbor means loving all your neighbors. If you are pro-life, you would better be standing up to defend victims of gun violence, poverty, and hunger, just as much as an unborn fetus. I know you don't expect a priest to say something like that, but it is dangerous to only love yourself and the things you desire. God is offensive to everyone in a different way, and you cannot pick and choose the commandments you like. As Nietzsche said, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. The future is dark, and that's a good thing. Not dark as an evil or terrible, but inscrutable. We write what it will be now, and with every now that will come after. Always remember what Viktor Frankl said after surviving a concentration camp in World War II. Everything in life can be taken from you except for one thing: your freedom to choose how you will respond to the situation. Let us pray.
The spotlight isolates Winter. He speaks directly to the audience as if giving a speech to potential followers.
Listen, I'm going to tell it to you straight. Everyone on this earth wants what they want, when they want it. I don't give a shit about the poor. I thank God for racism because I get to have an easy scapegoat. I won the genetic lottery and it's fucking fantastic. I don't care about the environment. I want to make as much money as I can, and I'm not going to live long enough to see the fallout, so why should I care? I like fucking women, and I don't want to deal with the consequences of how or where or what happens as a result. And I can live with my life. I can live my life like that and get away with it. Why the hell wouldn't I? I bow down to the altar of my own desires. We all have to worship something. When all those guys died in that NRA shooting, the survivors didn't mourn. It didn't make them want to change anything. They thought, man, I've got a shoe-in for senator now. All my competition is out of the way. Sooner or later, something's got to give. Forget the silent spring. Winter is coming with a mighty roar.
News footage is projected on the back wall. We see a montage of guerrilla-style film images, the wreckage of the NRA building, people panicking in the streets. Over the footage we hear, a few minutes ago, a bomb was detonated at the NRA headquarters following the mass shooting inside. The shooter, who it is believed is graduate student Matthew Isaac Turner, has apparently somehow managed to escape the wreckage. All efforts are being made to apprehend him. As promised, we can now bring you footage of the message Mr. Turner broadcast just before detonating the bomb that brought the building down, along with the footage of the shooting. The footage cuts to a clip of Matt's film speech, capping with,
"Fuck peace, I want war."
End of Act 1. Thank you, guys. So I'd love to get your thoughts really quickly, but just before we jump in, it was super, super helpful for me to hear that all out loud. And for those of you who have been with us on our dramaturgical journey the past couple months, I would say the vast majority of the brand new footage is in Act 1. So the rest of the act should feel trimmer. This one felt immensely long to me. So I've already made a lot of notes. There's a lot of stuff that I want to cut and I want to trim. There's a lot of, some of the new material feels a lot very talky at you as opposed to driven with action that I want to fix. Eddie, I'm hearing what you've been saying about Cassandra, but hearing it out loud, I think I know how to fix a lot of that. So I kind of want to completely rewrite the first gentleman and Cassandra scene. So just throwing that out there, because those are all things that I personally got from hearing it, and this was super, super helpful. So any thoughts, general things that you guys have, especially since this is the first time hearing like the brand new version of it in many a moon?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down a couple things. Well, first of all, I think like it's coming together. This is the first time that I read it, that I hear it being read. So, like, I think it's coming together nicely. Scene one, I guess I have a question: is what is the purpose of that scene, right? Like, is it an establishment scene? Are we getting to know about Cassandra and Matt, or are we getting to learn about their relationship and like? Because I'm not going to get into like specifics because you said that you made notes about trimming, but it felt a little long to me. So I was wondering, like how can it be not
yeah,
trimmed,
that one needs to be shorter, and I already have some ideas of how to make it more like more relevant, especially to things that come later. So yeah, for sure, I'm seconding what you're saying.
Yeah. Scene two, I think I said this in a previous meeting, and I still I don't know, like I'm still a little I don't know how I feel about the dialogue between Ismail and Safa in that scene, given that they are standing in the middle of the farm that just got destroyed. You know what I mean? Like a conversation seems like a conversation that might take place later. It just feels like, given that they are in the moment, I feel like they would be in such grief and not having the brain capacity to have this conversation. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know.
I mean, in my head, it's not like the farm was destroyed and then 5 minutes later they're having this conversation. In my head, this is like hours and hours and hours later, and they've been sitting there or hiding, and like clearly like nothing else is happening, and they have to figure out what to do.
This is okay. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but I can maybe do something to make that more clear, or what do you think might be helpful?
I don't know if this would be able to be communicated, given that we're not in a rehearsal room, but I wonder if they are already like kind of packed and they're moving, and then there is the visual conflict of Safa wanting to stay and Ismail trying to kind of like pull her hand or something and be like, hey, like let's just like keep moving, like let's not keep stopping. I don't know, maybe that will.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, and I think you mentioned this, Ashley. And from my note taking in this first act, it got less and less as the act went on. Like when we hit, I don't know, about halfway through the act, like my notes became very sparse. But the first half of this act, and you said this, it's about finding how to make it active. I think there's definitely things that you want to establish thematically and emotionally and stylistically, but like Omar's saying, that this, I think part of me was justifying in my head. It was like, okay, when we get on stage, like a director is going to give behavior and activity and business for the performers, but I think right now, as we're looking at just the text of it, it feels like I understand what thematically and what the subject matter that they're discussing is, but what are they doing in terms of plot and activity, and how do we make this moment active, this and the first scene, because they are mirror counterpoints for each other. How do we make those active in terms of their arcs? Like what is happening that's moving forward, not just the subject matter, but in their lives. What is the activity that's happening in the scene? Why is it happening? And what are the characters trying to get from each other in each of these scenes? So it's not so esoteric, but it really is grounded in reality, even though, yes, we're dealing with magic realism in a lot of these moments, but how do we keep it moving and active?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I'll add to that the scene for me, not the first two scenes as much, but the scene about the conversation about the loneliness and
Oh yeah, no, I
with
wanted to
the-
like a complete rewrite of that scene. So I have ideas for things to do, but it's not working right now, and I feel that. So yeah.
I think a general note from me,
Mhm.
because I took a lot of like very specific notes, but to like encapsulate things that I'm thinking about with this is there's that line, there will always be a war between the law and the spirit. And that really feels, to me at least, like the thesis of this show. This feels like how do we reconcile our belief system with how the world actually works?
Mhm.
And so that got me thinking about a lot of things in this piece. I mean, in this first act. And one of the things that really stood out to me this read through, and also thank you actors for reading. It was
Yeah.
so helpful
Yeah, it was beautiful.
to
Thank
just
you.
listen instead of read and then think and talk about like it's just to like listen and actually think about it. So thank you so much. Was the idea that we're presenting God in this piece as actual characters,
Mhm.
I think is very interesting because how we present them
Mhm.
ends up saying a lot because I'm specifically thinking a lot about the grandfather and
Mhm.
that scene, and how, because there's overlap between an NRA supporter with grandfather, like there's these moments where God is definitely removed from the plot. It's this other character who comes in, but then there's these moments where God really factors into the plot and is a character in actual moments of this story, and how they're presented in that moment kind of provides a point of view about what the play is saying on the issues in the scene, as well as what we think God is. So this is like a very broad topic, so it's hard to explain, but I was thinking a lot about this scene and how God seems so perfect in the grandfather scene.
Mhm.
Seems so unflawed, and we're talking about a very sensitive and controversial topic in terms of gun control and gun rights. And in that scene, God seems impenetrable to me. Like God, and much of the play, God seems impenetrable to me, which I totally get. God, we're saying, is this perfect being. That's how at least it's coming off to me in the play. God is very perfect, and people are surprised by how God presents themselves, but at the end of the day, they are like an ultimate final voice about how things are supposed to be.
Mhm.
In this scene, I think it's very interesting because Matt is in such turmoil, and there's so many, his arguments don't seem supported, to me at least.
Matt's arguments don't seem supported.
Matt's arguments don't seem supported. He seems so shaken by everything that grandfather is saying, and his conviction just doesn't come through for me.
Mhm.
And so in contrast with what God is presenting, with grandfather is presenting, which is so strong, so calm, so full of theology behind his reasoning,
Mhm.
I think with such a sensitive issue in that moment, it becomes uncomfortable for me, because, and maybe this is because I'm a left-leaning liberal, but seeing gun rights being presented in such a positive light with nothing to counter it.
Okay, well, let me pause there, because 100% not my intention for gun rights to
Totally.
be positive light.
No, and I get that in the play itself, but in that, I just think that moment is so ripe for an actual conversation where where
Well,
both sides
now,
don't seem.
what do you think about gun rights as being presented in a positive light in that scene?
It's because of God, because it's God presenting it in such a calm, kumbaya sort of manner.
Well, so I think I'm confused because I think maybe something's coming across very differently than it is in my head, and I want to make sure that I understand what it is
Totally.
you're seeing. In my head, the grandfather is not like a NRA pro-gun. In my head, it's God is in this space to talk to Matt. And that Matt has been like, oh, you're here, so you're an NRA person, so I'm taking you hostage and I'm gonna, whatnot. In my head, God is not a positive NRA gun person. And it's the things that he's saying that are respective of guns is more warning Matt about, like, wait a second, there's flaws in your argument that you maybe need to think through. Because Matt's going down a road of, as many extremists in this piece do, of like anybody who belongs to this group is evil.
Right.
And it's not supposed to be that the grandfather is saying that, like, no, these people are good and this is a positive point of view.
Right.
He's supposed to be saying the second that you label everybody in a group as evil, you're in a really dangerous road. So that's what I'm trying to get at, not that this ideology is positive.
That's very informative to me. That, to me, does not come across. The fact that God is presented in the scene conflated with a NRA member is confusing to me, because this might be a textual thing, the fact that I know that this character's grandfather with the G that signifies God, and maybe that wouldn't come across in the actual play when I were to see it, but the fact that those characters are conflated means that God is perfect, so God being in the reality of this world, an NRA member, means that that's the side he's presenting, and
which
that is
is
the
not. I think maybe I just need to make clear that he just happened to be in this room in this building.
Right. And I also think that there's something to be gained from exploring what that conversation would be like with a non-God character. I mean, I think to me it's more interesting in general with this topic of this play and with things happening in our country to try to understand human arguments for pro-gun rights,
right,
with the ideas that most theater going audiences would be of, which is more gun control. And so to have those ideas in actual conversation with each other, opposed to a celestial being presenting his wisdom.
Well, and I think that the thing is, and clearly I need to do some things to clarify this, is this scene is not meant to be a conversation about gun control. The scene is meant to be a conversation about Matt is on the road to no return because he's just done this really horrible, violent terrorist act. And he is now looking at a limited group of people as the embodiment of all evil. And it's meant to be this moment of, wait a minute, there's flaws in your thinking. You're doing the exact same thing that you have thought is so terrible, and you can turn back now. This is your kind of last chance. And it's basically Matt turning to God and being like, fuck you, I know what I'm doing.
I will say, I'll jump in, that's what I got from the scene.
Okay.
Actually, so that came across to me. And I even had a moment where I was like, Cassandra? Like, it felt like there was a manifestation of her last pleas with him that came through for me that I hadn't felt before. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I know we discussed her manifesting in scenes.
That's one of the things I was thinking about as well. I was like, this feels like a very Cassandra voice in this scene.
Yeah, no, it's not meant to be a conversation about gun rights. It's meant to be something very different. So maybe let me go through it and see if there's little things that I can do to.
Yeah, it's not even dialogue, because
building is automatically making it a little bit tilted towards that, just by the context of where he is and where they are.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything grandfather is saying. It's mostly what Matt is saying. Matt is, for me, putting a frame on grandfather as to who he is and what he believes. And
Right.
so that's what is coming off to me.
I mean, the reason that I did it this way is because one of the themes in this piece is people not wanting to listen to the truth because it's coming in an unacceptable form. You know, so like for a car, no, it's not a car anymore. Wow. So like for Winter, it being in the form of a Muslim girl is unacceptable and he cannot hear that truth. You know, for Matt, hearing it come through the voice of somebody who's at the NRA building is unacceptable and he won't listen to it. So one of the themes is that the truth is the truth, and that there's problems when you reject it because you don't like the form that it's presented to you in. That's a terrible, really not great way of saying it, but the idea that you know, if instead of the grandfather, the exact same words were being said in the body of somebody that Matt felt he could relate to more, that maybe it would be different, but we can't. I'm digging myself in a hole, but that's part of the point, is not being willing to accept something because you don't like the form it's presented to you in, being a potentially dangerous thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think similarly,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I guess my question is, did you mean Matt to be so shaken in that scene? Because that's how it's coming off to me, like that he's
Sure.
very, I mean, yes, he commits to what he's doing and blows up and
Yeah.
the building and whatever, but he seems gosh, I don't know. It feels uneven to me, that scene specifically. It feels like I wish
Matt's convictions are too shaken in it.
Yeah, or rather, I wish he would provide more to the conversation about why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like, to me, like a little kid who gets shown that he's wrong, and he's like, no, well, I did it because of this, and I wish he was more like, I mean, he's had a lot taken from him,
Right.
and I feel that the stakes are too high for him to back down from what's happening.
Yeah.
And I guess I just, to keep the weight of Pulse and what has happened, and it feels like this man is on a mission, and he has the evidence to back up what he's doing and
Totally.
why
No,
he's
I absolutely hear that. To me, they're slightly two separate things in what is motivating him being 100% justified,
right,
and the way he's enacting that,
right,
not necessarily being.
right.
Because I mean, he just committed a mass terrorist shooting against people, like for real.
Right.
And I think for me, what is meant to be shaken with Matt is maybe what you just did is really wrong. And for Matt to have to come to terms with that, and to sort of face that. And at the end of the day, he decides to not face that, but to sort of continue justifying it. And to me, there's two separate justifications. There's a justification for the action that he just did to drive his feelings home, which is not great. And there's the justification for what he's feeling and what he wants to change, which is 100% justified. So there's a difference between the feelings and the desires and the actual action that he took.
Right.
And I never want to imply that the way that he's feeling or the things that he wants changed are not, those are 100% justified.
Right.
I'm having I'm trying to have the controversy about the path that it's led him down.
Totally. Which I also wonder if it's like, because he definitely gets his ass handed to him later for
Right.
sure. Like in the play, like he definitely, I think, gets to that moment where he goes, oh shit, this wasn't the right way to go about this.
Right.
And so I wonder how many times does that happen to him throughout the play before it comes to, like, which moments do we
Mhm.
choose, this is the universe telling you shouldn't be doing this, and he turns his face away from it, and which times does he just steamroll through everything?
Right.
um
And I mean, one of the things that I'm trying to explore a little bit is that every character has multiple moments where they could choose to do something differently. It's not like this is your one moment, and if you get it wrong, too bad.
right.
But yeah, let me look at it, because
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't want it to seem that the things that he's feeling are not justified or whatnot, because that's
If I may chime in, I think for for me, reading this scene and the past iterations of the script and hearing it today, it didn't feel like any of it was not justified. It's just, and I think Ashley defined this moment before as kind of like his point of no return, and it just like feels like there's an inner conflict of some sort, right?
Yeah.
Like he is he's still true to his beliefs, and he's still true to the pain that's inside of him, but taking the actual step of committing that plan is a big, it's a big change. It is a point of no return. So like there is I don't know, like hearing the scene, it makes sense that there would be some sort of an inner conflict. I mean, if you are hating someone, absolutely hating them, and you wish them real fucking harm, but then you are given the chance to harm them,
It's not,
physically harm them, or even kill them,
Yeah.
like, would you just do it in a heartbeat, like how you would have wished it upon them? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not challenging. I don't mean to challenge your thought, Eddie, or I don't mean to deny it.
No, I love it.
I agree with Omar. I think the fact that there was this moment of like, is he gonna now all of a sudden stop, made me that's just something I would do. I wouldn't. I feel like it would be so extreme for him to just completely say he's doing something very extreme, and for it to be so easy, to me it wouldn't feel right. And the fact that after he's presented with the option, or he's given this conflict and still goes ahead with it, that to me is his conviction, and that sells the conviction to me, because he does go all the way even after he's presented with this option. So but the inner conflict for me felt like, oh, this man's really just, he's trying to figure it out. Like it's not, to him it's not black and white either. He's trying to figure it out, and he's trying to understand what's going on. And yeah,
if I could, and I know I'm new to this dramaturgical process, but
no, it's good.
But
Fresh feedback.
so the funny thing is that I actually agree with what everyone has had to say about it. Isn't that interesting? And again, it's like I didn't spend too much time dissecting the scene and the journey that he goes through. So he very well may have been a little too on the side of doubt, right? But that's something that I did want to play with in the limited time that I spent with the play beforehand. And also just the nature of those kinds of scenes, the person who is committing an extreme act, especially a hostage situation, it's always, the adrenaline level is at a level that no one here could ever even imagine to experience. So, but with that said, I do think it's interesting if there's always that element of a doubt in there. I tried to get it to arrive at a very convicted place, but because I do think he has convictions, but then again, I don't think the only opposite to this scenario would be if he was a prophet, because prophets in these situations, they are so sure, and they're so sure, and it makes them seem crazy. Now I know, and also I know that's a part of this play as well, with interpreting that as well in terms of extreme acts. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get tangential about it, but yeah, I can, yeah, but I do think that the in the text, all of that is there. I wouldn't have discovered it in any way. I did feel that there was a journey of doubt, a journey of no, but coming back to convictions and ending on the convictions. But I don't know if it's fully just, no, I am wrong, you are right, if it isn't underneath that an element of, am I wrong, am I right as well. But I do think that it's all there. It's both there, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to make clear is the thing that's up for debate in the scene is his methods, not
right.
his
Yes,
reasoning.
absolutely. Yeah.
So. Were there any other general thoughts that folks had hearing it?
The politician scene, and maybe this is because of I've read it so many times. A part of me kind of feels it can even get more scary and more maybe it's just because I have read it a few times, so I'm used to it, or I know what to expect. Maybe for someone who's seeing it or reading it for the first time, maybe it does feel scary enough. But for some reason, hearing it out loud today or reading it out loud today, I was yeah, I can probably tolerate more scared to Matt. Maybe towards the end, it gets kind of absurd or something. I don't know.
Sorry, it's my kid. No, I totally hear you. And I think one of the things that will help is because there's so much new material in Act 1, I'm finding a lot of things are getting repeated and not in the way of thematically echoing each other, but people are actually just saying the same thing. And one of the big things that I noticed was the politicians in Winter, I felt like we're getting the same points across. And so I think that if I can trim the fat out of both of those things, then the moments of with the politicians, the moments where they're acting scary will jump out more strongly too. And it'll be more about that and more focused on that. Because originally structurally, they were there to make an argument that wasn't articulated anywhere else in the play. And now it definitely is. So I want to do that. I also, little ideas that I had that I think, and not doing anything except saying her name, but I think it might be interesting if the person who's interviewing Winter, we later find out is one of his followers. She's one of the people who joins his camp later. But I think there's also little things that I can do that will help. But yeah, it feels like now there's just too much establishing stuff, and just the fat needs to get trimmed, and I need to be very specific about how everything is working together. But I think I agree. I think, I'm not sure who said it, but the second half of the act felt like it was going a little faster. And I think that Act 2 and Act 3 will feel that way as well, also because while there is new material, they have also been trimmed. So I think that will hopefully continue with Act 2 and Act 3, but I think I got some stuff to do in Act 1.
By the danger, do you mean the danger for Matt?
Omar, do you mean the danger for Matt specifically?
Sorry. Yes, yeah. That he would kind of maybe not danger, but the discomfort,
Right. I will say what, to me, the line where he says, "Oh, fucking faggots," that line, betraying your own identity, to me, I would only do that in a situation where I felt like,
right,
that line to me solidified how uncomfortable he is. And maybe that can happen throughout, or he can be drawn in more to the conversation. But I felt like, oh no, he did not just say that. And I know how painful that would be coming from him.
Yeah.
To betray his own identity like that. So I think that felt dangerous to me. I don't know if the beginning, I don't know. I wasn't bothered by the danger of it. I felt like it got so dangerous for him to say those words. Just to be the devil's advocate.
Yeah. And that is, I'm glad that that's reading for you, because that's something that's important for me. I really like the new stuff with Safa and Ishmael. And Gracie, it was really exciting to hear somebody who's actually your age reading that part. For me, it resonated very differently, in a good way, I think, for all of those myriad of roles. Yeah. Is it feeling like Safa and Ishmael are well represented now in the beginning of the piece?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any concerns or thoughts over their representation, but I don't know about the rest of the group.
No, I thought, yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought the Tanner scene worked better. I still think I need to do trimming in that, but I think it works better.
Yeah. Is that that's the locksmith?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I don't know if there was new monologue bits in there. He went a little further and it justified the scene for me. And I was like, oh, it's scary how some of the things that these two, I mean, it's like everything you're saying are stuff that I hear people say, and sometimes people that are a little too close to me. And it's not just like a scary white guy over there that I don't know. It's like, oh, I know immigrants who say things about other immigrants. I know, and it's like, it's strange to be like, there's so many moments in the play that I just highlighted a lot of different lines that were like things that I've either experienced recently or heard someone say or gone through. And it's very in all different contexts, but it's hitting home in a lot of different ways. So I want to put that out there. It's definitely, it's funny that if probably we read this a while ago, we would think this is so extreme, but it's like so truthful in its extremity, because it's like it's happening right now. And it's, yeah. So.
And what I'm feeling is happening more, that was always my intention, but I'm feeling like it's finally maybe starting to come through, is the echoing of how, to some degree, everybody in the world has experienced something negative and feels a little bit like, if this thing just like, if these bad people just weren't doing this bad thing, then things would be okay. And like everybody's feeling that about everyone, and everybody's both like a little justified and like wildly unjustified. And if we could all just like realize that we're scared about the same thing, maybe it would be a little helpful. So I'm hearing a little bit of that echo more, which I'm glad is happening. But
I have two technical things about the Tanner that popped out to
was
me.
one that I say he cocks his gun twice?
No, but I love that. More
Yeah,
cocking, the better.
I edited that.
One was in the phone call beforehand. Is it possible to get like a time that this guy's going to come over, just to help us, or at least me, my dumb little brain, understand the time passage of these scenes? Just like in that phone call beforehand of him just being like, I'll be there, whatever. Okay, I'll see you at blah blah blah. I don't know, just to help us, give us some sort of tangibility to this magic realism play. And then the second thing, his Confederate flag reference to me, I totally believe that is a possibility in this world.
Not talking about the Southern.
But as a New York locksmith, like as a trade, like locksmiths in New York City, that is a trade that belongs to people of the city generally. Like it's people, immigrants who come to the city, or people who have been in the city for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tougher time immediately swallowing a Southerner coming to New York and then going into the lock trade business. I believe that that person exists. Absolutely.
I mean, in my head, it's that his family were originally from the South, and some like probably in the late 90s or something, they came up to New York trying that they were like, for lack of a better description, excuse the term, but like white trash or trailer trash, very poor somewhere down south, and that they moved north sometime in like the late 80s or 90s to, I don't know, try to improve things or whatnot, and they ended up in this trade, whether they had other relatives from another side of the family that were in it or something like that. But
right.
I also, doesn't need to be the scene where we like go into the history of Tanner. So
but also I think similar to the grandfather scene, I think there's something in raising the stakes when it comes from a place that you wouldn't expect it to come from.
Sure.
Like if it was another northerner speaking these words, the thing is, those people exist. Like there's a whole group of New Yorkers who support Blue Lives Matter. Like there are people who exist in this world who you would think, oh, they're New Yorkers, they're liberals. There's a lot of, I mean, I just worked at a Halloween party for a bunch of Trump supporters in Bronxville, just above the Bronx, who literally were screaming Trump's name. They're New Yorkers through and through, but I was there dancing a 1-2 step for these people who just could not conceive of a world without Trump. And so these people exist, and I think it's important. I think it raises the stakes when you go, hey, audience members, you think everyone who supports Trump is from the South? Guess what? There's someone from the North who supports him, who lives in New York City. And because those people exist, they really exist. And I think that conversation is very interesting.
And I'm really sorry that you had to work that event. Anyway.
Oh, I know. We didn't know till we got there, and we got to our dressing room, and there were like Melania like magazines all over the place, and we're like, what is this? And we like picked up the magazine, and then underneath the magazine was like a Trump magazine, and we're like, oh no.
Was anybody wearing a mask at this event?
A lot of people weren't. Most of them weren't.
Love, please be safe. Please.
It was like an outdoor event, but like in like a tent. So like it was like not really open air, and we got there and we're like, oh fuck, these are a bunch of idiots that we're performing for, but we're getting paid and the government isn't giving us any money, so this is what we have to do. Anyway, I just think because totally Confederates from the South, totally, they exist. I think there's a very interesting conversation to be had when you go, it's what you don't expect.
Yeah.
But I think the Tanner scene is great, and I think it really emphasizes what I was talking about last time we met, which was the stylistically. I think it really sets up the what's happening, because it's just so in your face, and I love it.
Cool. Oh God, I felt so gross writing that scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I need to really trim the John Cassandra scene too, and just really focus that. I actually was wondering if maybe I should make the John Cassandra scene and the Tanner scene like a split screen kind of interweaving thing and focus that. I'll have to look at that, but yeah. Cool. Anything else that anybody had in general about anything?
Can I ask what spent a year with him one night means?
Meaning that their interaction was so dull and tedious. And I was at a gathering like more than 10 years ago where somebody actually said that. I don't know who they were talking about. It wasn't Kevin. It was some other person I didn't know. And they said, oh yeah, I know them. I spent a year with them one night. And I literally went to them. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Can I ask your permission to use that in something? And they're like, sure. And it took me over 10 years to find something, but I'm like, I finally found a thing. Yeah, meaning that their conversation was so dull and tedious that it felt like it was a year.
Yeah. I love that. Now that I know what that means, I'm going to use it all the time.
And actually that line, I don't even want to quote it, but about like, do you have plans for Christmas? No, but I have a hooker for New Year's is actually another real thing that somebody said.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a great punctuation mark on that scene.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, it feels like I just made up a really good button, but like
Yeah,
I was carrying
exactly.
that sentence around for a while too.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have a question. I don't know if this is me not growing up here,
Mhm.
but a lot of these references to the stories and the names and the what Cassandra talks about goes over my head, and I don't know if that's context of me not being from here, or if that's or if the audience may be a little bit lost, or if it's okay that they are.
Yeah, no, it's
She is a
highly
little bit.
likely that the audience will be lost. There's no, but I, with the exception of a freak like me, nobody in the audience will get all of the references, like 100% guarantee. So a little bit of that is intentional in that it's almost, and I think it's one of the things I need to look at, but it's almost like she's speaking another language that like she and the gentleman just kind of converse like this in, but like anybody else, it's a little like, wait, what?
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like they'd be a little obscure even for somebody who grew up here. Also, just because they go by super fast. Yeah, I know, Eddie.
I know this is something that I brought up before, but I
Yeah.
think it's like, and like you said, it's that scene needs a lot of looking at.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, I think the length of it may work because it made me feel like, am I missing something? Like, because it's so much of the scene is that it made me feel like I'm either missing something or yeah. But you're looking at it, so that was, I just was curious if it was something.
But it's also okay if you miss stuff because there is always supposed to be a little bit of a question about how mad versus prophetic Cassandra is.
Yeah.
And I think hearing her say things that like you don't quite understand lend to the slightly mad quality regardless.
Yeah. Mhm.
I do kind of like that some of those references that get thrown away in the first scene get explained later in the scene with the grandfather. So it's like there's a little bit of method to her madness. But yeah. So if you ever want to know what all the references are, I can let you know what the references are.
Yeah, I'd be very curious.
I'm trying to think. In the first scene, there's the Snow Queen and little brother, little sister that get explained. In the scene with the grandfather, there's all that stuff about Megan Prognoskis and it, and that's a reference to A Wrinkle in Time and A Wind in the Door, written by Madeleine L'Engle. Those two books, which are actually really good. Do not watch the movie of A Wrinkle in Time. It's horrific. It's terrible.
I haven't. I'm not planning on it.
Is horrible. Later, the poem with the gentleman in Winter When the Fields Are White is an Alice through the Alice the Looking Glass reference. And I'll have to look up what all the other ones are. But the one that sticks out in my head is she talks a lot about Wrinkle in Time and Wind in the Door.
Is that the one with the fish reference? No.
Fish reference?
Is that Gerda and
The one about the riddle?
Oh, the riddle. That is actually an old Jewish riddle.
It is an actual, because I actually went up and looked up the movie that it's from,
Yes.
or that features it, but it is an actual Jewish riddle.
It is an actual Jewish riddle that Neil Gaiman, he's a fiction writer and he's also the writer of Mirror Mask. He'd always kind of had it in his back pocket and always thought it was hilarious, and he stuck it in Mirror Mask, but it is actually an old Jewish riddle. Yep.
Learn something new every day.
Which I also thought was interesting that this Muslim grandfather was telling his granddaughter an old Jewish riddle, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, I have a few line things that I'll just like brush through really quick.
Throw my way. Thank you.
One in the first scene.
Yeah.
So I think this is the most elaborate and detailed note I have.
Okay.
As a gay man in the gay community, after Pulse, the Islamic State factor of that event
Right.
Not to be monolithic about it. Like we didn't all, I'm sure there are plenty of white gays who freaked out about it, but for the most part, that wasn't the focus for us. So there's that line in the first scene where
I know
Matt,
exactly what you mean. And I
Yes.
purely stuck it in because it came up in a previous discussion that many people do not remember that the shooter did it in the name of the Islamic State. So it was me trying to add
exposition. Totally,
but
absolutely.
maybe there's a better way for me to add the
Yeah,
exposition.
maybe there's something to be found in how to add that, because it really, I think, again, I'm not speaking for the entire gay community, but a lot of us as minorities have a tendency to stray away from immediately blaming another minority as the reason for something happening.
Wait, this is the other reason that I did it.
Uh-huh.
I think is potentially important. Part of what I'm trying to do with Matt is to show that Matt becomes in some ways the thing that he so violently hated at the start. And so basically the love of his life was killed by a shooter who did it in the name of the Islamic State. He then later joins a cult that he's brought into by a Muslim man. And in his scene with Ishmael, and you could say that he's a little inadvertently bigoted in the way that he talks to him, but he does articulate, you folks are the ones who are responsible for my love dying. And Ishmael's like, no, I'm not. But I wanted to make a point of Matt kind of ending up turning into, to some degrees, the thing that he that caused him so much tragedy.
And I'm actually like a huge fan of that, because I think like one of our first meetings we talked about the idea of white terrorism, and I think if you want to lean into that, that's great. And I think maybe there's more to be gained from that direction then absolutely, like, let him mention that, like, because the thing is, there are those white gay men who act like that, who act like they've never understood what oppression is, so they freely dole it out to everyone else. And that absolutely exists. And if that's the case, yes, lean into that. But I just wanted to bring that up because in general, the community wasn't leaning into the Islamic State factor of that. But absolutely, please. Oh my God. I again, I just think that's such an interesting conversation. Like, white terrorism in America is really an important conversation. And I know it's like tricky, because the vessel for it is a gay man. So it's like, are we saying gay men or no? I mean, as a gay man, I don't mind that is I think that creates a complicated, interesting 3D character. And I personally don't take it as you saying all gay men are like this. Like, I just think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. Another line thing I had was there's a line in the second scene, I can't stop the world from rotting, or something along those.
The world is rotting and I can't stop it.
And I can't stop it. I was wondering,
actually.
What was that?
I think it's in the first scene.
Oh, in the first scene. Yes, that's right. And I was just wondering about the use of I versus we, like the fact that he's taking on that responsibility automatically all himself, versus him saying we as a community can't stop the world from rotting. I just thought it was very interesting.
I just meant it as like, just
he's feeling unempowered.
Yeah, just like the whole world is going to hell. Like, I just feel like the world is turning to shit, kind of a thing. Not necessarily represented. Yeah.
Okay, cool. In that same scene, dad versus my dad, I think when I first read, I don't know if that was a change, or when I read it the last time, I noticed that for the first time when he says, "Dad won't believe me," or "Dad,
Oh yeah.
Dad something." It made me go, "Oh, did she change them to be brother and sister?" I don't know. Instead of saying my dad, but that's like so small.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know. I mean, with some of my friends, I mean, we just,
Right.
yeah, it's just like,
I know it's different. People talk differently about their dad. Like my boyfriend, he literally talks to his sister and says,
Yeah.
"My mom, my dad."
yeah.
But it's both their dads and moms. And
Yeah.
to me, that's weird, but I know that's like normal for some people.
Well, and actually one of the things that I realized hearing this that I kind of want to do is I am realizing how much both Matt and Cassandra did not have a family growing up. And so I want to make clear that the reason that they bonded so much is because they kind of became each other's family, because clearly both of them have fathers who are horrible.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's something I want to clarify too.
That's all I had.
Thank you.
That was great.
The line with in the politician scene, the line where Matt says engineering and then says undergrad engineering, is that am I missing something? That was confusing to me. That he's responding.
What's your what was your undergrad is how I interpret
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah, it's meant to be like, I'm a grad student studying what? Engineering. What did you do for undergrad? Engineering.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Which also, I mean, I need to trim that scene anyway. That might not make the cut to begin with. So, Gracie, did you have anything that you thought, like hearing it for the first year, brand new to this piece?
I skimmed over it like a little bit and like my scenes before. I just thought like overall like all the themes and stuff really like hit home, and I thought I really liked it more than I expected to.
How so?
I just thought like all the themes, because I really didn't know much about it before this. Everything really just resonated with me.
Well, I'm both glad and sorry that was the key.
No, I think it's really good.
Cool. So thank you, and thank you everyone for your wonderful reads. We're off next week. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm going to do some serious rewriting of the first act, so I'll probably send everybody like a new draft, but I'm not going to change anything in the second or third act. So I'm not going to like, it's helpful to me to like take a break and then hear it again for the first time and then make changes. So just for funsies, I might send you like a new first act, but I'm not going to like make any changes to what's being read in the second act for next time, and that should be a lot shorter than this one. So
Awesome.
thank you guys so much. This really means
Thank
a
you.
lot. All.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you have any other thoughts, feel free to message me. But this was super helpful. You guys are amazing, and I'm really excited to jump in and make some tweaks.
Yes. Awesome.
Hey.
Good work.
Good work, everybody.
All right.
Yay.
Have a really good Thanksgiving.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too,
everyone.
guys.
To everybody.
Bye. Stay safe.
Bye.
Until next time.